Welcome to Oz Talk.
Welcome, everybody.
Hi, Tori. It's great to see you.
Great to see you, too, on the back of our amazing Land of Oz, North Carolina adventure extravaganza.
Yes, unforgettable. And I love what you happen to be wearing today.
Well, thank you. You know, they do say pink goes good with green.
It sure does. And we go good together. And we did not plan this, for the record.
No, you didn't.
I did wait to run to Ari because, they released these for women. And of course, I want everything to be unisex. And it is. If we can fit in it and we like it and we can be who we be. We do who we do, right? We do we. And so I waited till you received yours to ask you about sizing and stuff. Ran to the store, tried a couple on, and I love it. You look great in it, and it's great to match you as always, as we do spiritually anyway, right?
Exactly. And man, today is a very important day because we are 60 days away as of today from the release of Wicked Part 1 in theaters. And over the weekend, we hit the official 2-month mark until Wicked is released, which is just unbelievably cool.
I feel whenever I see those posts, I know you do a daily calendar. I share once in a while on my stories as well. But seeing all the different fans create different ways of counting down to the opening of Wicked, it gives me such a rush. What do you feel each day as you get one day closer?
What I feel is disbelief because I feel like we've been waiting for this movie for decades. And the fact that we are now in the home stretch in terms of waiting for it is like pinch me, I'm dreaming type feeling. I'm so looking forward to it. I can't even begin to say how excited I am.
I know, same. And I want to mention that we're going to be covering a breakdown of Wicked Part 1, Wicked the movie, and predicting what we think is going to be happening in adaptation there. We're being joined. This idea came to me by our friend, a friend of Oz Talk, friend of mine, friend of yours. His name is Mr. Chase. His name is Roy Chase. He's joining us shortly to talk about our predictions for Wicked, the film. And but first we thought, let's talk about some of the new merch that's coming up. Tori, what's on your radar?
Well, as of October 1st, pretty much all of the major brands are going to drop. We're going to see Lego. We're going to see Mattel. We're going to see lots of really cool collabs. We have a Noble collection set coming out, and that's just what's been announced so far. There's more coming, and this is just that first wave for Part 1. I know Part 2 is going to come with its own wave of merch. But yeah, this last couple of weeks, I know people have started spotting things in Walmart. They're not technically supposed to be out yet, so if your Walmart accidentally put things out before October 1st, that's not the norm. That's the exception. So if you are one of the locations where they just happen to put something out early, lucky you. But they're not technically supposed to all be out until October 1st. So lots of exciting things coming down the pike.
Mm-hmm, definitely. People excited about the dolls. David's saying he can't believe they haven't revealed the Funko Pops yet. I know. I can't wait to see everything. But it's coming. And at one point, everything's going to be here. And we're going to be all just negotiating with our bank accounts what we can afford and add to our homes, right?
And the good news is we'll have things to spread out all the way through the holiday season. So there'll be really great holiday gifts if you decide to treat yourself.
Mm-hmm. Let's match again. I saw you reveal on the Oz vlog on TikTok and Instagram, and you received a movie tie-in of the novel. Let's grab ours. That beautiful movie poster, and it's The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by author Gregory Maguire, who without we would not be here today celebrating this movie and the musical, and I love the cover.
Thank you so much to the folks at HarperCollins for sending these to us. I absolutely Love it. And they didn't add one thing I was surprised at. They didn't add any stills from the movie to the book. It's just the cover, which is still beautiful and it's completely faithful to the original text, unabridged. So that's really great. I don't know how they would have incorporated some of it because it's so based in the musical and the book is so different. But I'm so glad we get a book with the cover. And I'm hoping maybe we'll get a novelization at some point of the films as well.
That may happen. HarperCollins also, thank you. There is this gorgeous collector's edition hardcover of Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by Gregory Maguire. And it is absolutely magnificent. It is all of the bells and whistles that you want in a beautiful collector's edition. It came in shrink wrapped, but I had to open it to be able to, peer in. And this would be actually a fun one to read when you reread if you don't have the original in hardback. But it is absolutely gorgeous. So this is for the true Wicked collector and fan as well. And there are some new headlines in Oz, Tori. I know we follow everyone, Universal Pictures and all the stars and director John Chu. And there's lots of little gumdrops that they've been feeding us over the last few days with articles coming out. First Look at Entertainment Weekly and some other things. Tori, what do you want to lead with?
Well, Architecture Digest released an entire article all about the sets. And what was really revealing about that was how the designers talked about trying to marry what we know about Oz and what people's expectations are and paying homage to history while also creating something unique and new. That's a really tough balance to strike. But from the looks of these sets, it really feels like Oz is brand new, but also really familiar. Having just returned from the land of Oz, I'm an expert on this topic, and I can say that it just feels so good the way that they've made this world, like physically made it. It's not green screens and blue screens all the way through. They actually went to the trouble of building these places, and that immersion, I think, is going to really help audience members dive in.
It's true. We see, and there are Easter eggs here, even as we look at the character posters that were released not too long ago, and just the design of the sets and the full immersive. There was that featurette about building the world of Wicked, how important it was not only for the storytelling to help the cast feel that Oz is very real, but also it is an answer to those in the audience who complain of too much CGI and everything shot against a blue or a green screen. And it is all real and all there for us, which also, we mentioned before, but lends to the possibility of a Universal Studios tour of the sets, of the theme parks. We already know that it has been announced that Universal is planning to have Wicked experiences in Orlando and in California for their parks and exclusive merch to those areas. And then also we heard about, John was talking about some expanded storylines and you want to bring that up too, Tori?
So they've talked about, there were a couple of articles over the weekend talking about what we're going to see in terms of differences from what we know on stage to what we know about the film. And because they have two films and more room to tell deeper stories and pull in more from Baum's work and from Maguire's work, they're expanding a couple of really important roles. First of all, they're expanding the role of Bach. We're going to find out more about Munchkin culture, which is brand new in terms of ideas for this film. They've really taken the world of Munchkinland and built on their personal history and lore, which I love because we really don't get much of that in the musical. Bach is a really important character in Gregory Maguire's novel. And he kind of gets lost in translation in terms of adaptation to musical format because they kind of use him as comedy for the first act, and then he gets, well, I won't reveal what happens to him, but let's just say his story takes a very drastic turn in Act 2. Yes. But they have Ethan Slater, who is one of the most talented human beings I've ever seen. So it would have been a waste not to.
But I also have to give a shout out to I'm in Wisconsin, my home state's Marissa Bodie as Mr. Rose, and I feel like not only is it important that they cast an actual disabled performer in a role of a disabled character, and this may be one of the most magnificent or major roles in one of the biggest blockbuster films in history, as certainly among them, of casting a disabled person in a major role, which is fantastic because it's so rarely done. And the doll that we see in the representation that matters, but there's also been hint in similar articles about how the role is going to be expanded for Nessarose, the relationship between Nessarose and Elphaba, but also how they handle those of us who know what happens with Nessa Rose and magic in Act Two, and that may be changed. And I'm so excited to see how that's changed and updated to accommodate reality and the disabled community and everything else. We don't know, so we can't comment on it yet, but that's truly exciting and magnificent.
Yeah, I've been saying all along that I really hoped they did more with Nessa Rose's character. I do feel, and there is a general feeling in the community that Nessa Rose's arc is outdated for the 21st century. And so I'm really happy. And what gives me hope for this is that Marissa Bodie herself is happy with the changes that they've made and with the representation that she will be bringing to the screen. And she seems like the kind of person who wouldn't take on a role if she felt like the representation was disingenuous in any kind of way. So I'm excited to see what they've done for Nessa.
Definitely. Well, to that end, we are going to make some acute predictions for what we think is going to happen in the upcoming Wicked film/films. And so let's bring in our friend, Mr. Chase. Hey, Chase, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Glad you could be here. And we had a conversation recently because you're also on social media and we've been friends for a long time, and you reached out and said, hey, what do you think about this? I might do this, or maybe we could talk about this together and the rest of it. And I thought it was such a good idea. And I reached out to Tori and I was like, we got to do this. So we planned this episode to talk about, because just the conversations that you and I were having, Chase, and then that Tori and I started having, and I was like, wait, oh God, we need to do this episode and talk about where we think, because some of them might turn out to be right. And then we don't have to pat ourselves on the back, but we can just say, oh my gosh, that's cool. But a lot of which that we're speculating about, I'm sure is completely off base, which speaks to the creativity and the brilliance of Winnie Holzman, Stephen Schwartz, John Chu, and the rest of the creatives that put this together in adaptation. I think it's going to be so radically different. Having the sound that we know and these images and the iconic imagery between character and place that we have come to expect. But there's going to be so much surprise in the songs, I think, and also the dialogue and story.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I've been waiting for Wicked the movie ever since I was a freshman in high school, and someone introduced me to Wicked the book because we were doing a production of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I absorbed that book very quickly, and then drove my parents crazy listening to the album over and over again in my room. And I loved the entire story just because, as someone who always felt like an outsider looking in, it called to me, and especially the musical, which I didn't get to see until I got to see it a few years ago whenever it toured through Seattle, and then last month I got to see it on Broadway for the first time, and I'm really looking forward to all of the songs that they're writing for Wicked, or that they've written for Wicked, and also the ones that they didn't write for Wicked that they could possibly reuse. And so I kind of wanted to touch base on specifically 3 songs that really stood out to me that were not used for the Act 1, Movie 1.
Right. I think what you spawned, and you were already onto this, but what made me think was, Stephen Schwartz announced that he wrote 2 new songs for Wicked Part 2, which implies that there would be no new music or new songs in Wicked Part 1. That is, potentially not true, only in the sense of there are probably new lyrics, there are changes to the existing songs. So the songs that we know from the show, and we know they're keeping all the original songs, so they're there, but there are going to be some new lyrics. There's going to be changes in its the way that the musical is arranged. The arrangements are going to be different, but there were songs that Stephen Schwartz wrote for Wicked as the musical was evolving before it became its final version. And because those aren't technically new songs, they're previously written songs, some of those may be involved, specifically some that we saw at the Yellow Brick Road Not Taken. I was very lucky to attend this concert as the 5th anniversary celebration of Wicked on Broadway. And that was October 27th, 2008 at the Gershwin Theater. It was a Monday night, so the show was dark, as is typical on Mondays. And they had a bunch of people, celebrities, a bunch of non-Wicked celebrities show up to perform, but there were also some Wicked celebrities. Shoshana Bean, Ashanti was there, who of course, we know as Dorothy from the Wiz at City Center's Encores and in the Muppets Wizard of Oz. And it was really, really fun. They had a bunch of other Elphabas and Glindas, Jennifer Laura Thompson, and it was a wonderful celebration. And they played, it basically was an experience of, the reason it was called The Yellow Brick Road Not Taken is because it's what could have been. These were songs and passages from the dialogue and the script of Wicked the musical that were abandoned in favor of what we do end up seeing on stage currently in the version. So Chase, you want to tell us what's the first song that you want to talk about?
Making Good. I heard Stephanie J. Block, she had it on one of her albums, and the song, it's so hopeful and like the hope of youth, Elphaba, this naive girl wanting to make a difference in the world. It might even be a song that I know that they're doing some flashback scenes a little bit more in depth about Elphaba's life. And so it might even be maybe a younger actress playing Elphaba singing that song, possibly.
Oh my God, that'd be crazy, Tori, wouldn't it?
That would be crazy.
Young Elphaba. Doesn't the song also appear on the 10th anniversary album?
I think so. I remember it was there was one anniversary album that had Making Good, but it also had Popular and Popular in Japanese. It is the same one though. It had Ariana on it, the Popular song, and it had 2 Japanese Wicked songs on there. It was Popular and shucks, what was the other one?
Yeah, was that a 10th anniversary release, or was that
a 15th anniversary?
Yeah, I think, which they keep, and hey, keep it coming, Wicked on Broadway. Keep repackaging. We know we're good for it.
Oh yeah,
that's a really interesting idea, because why not give young Elphaba a song?
Yeah, and I don't know how much of her youth we're going to be getting, but I do know because of the book Elfie, A Wicked Childhood coming out, we might possibly have some more insight, because pretty much it goes from her being a young child, to being an adult, and we miss the infancy gospel, if you will, of her life. And so I'd love to see. You mentioned the development of Bach and Nessa Rose as well. I know that in the book they have a pre-Shiz connection, because Bach, being the son of the mayor of Rush Margins, his father lent out a carriage to Elphaba's father, so Elphaba's father could go around and do business and stuff. And so I would love to see a young Bach with a young Elphaba and Nessa. I mean, there's just a lot that we just don't know. And I'm really looking forward to that book coming out first, and then of course the movie.
Yeah, me too. I agree. I think there's a big chance to expand, because of course in the musical, during No One Mourns the Wicked, there's a flashback musical moment, but they actually in the film have an opportunity to take time to give us a fully fleshed out flashback of Elphaba's childhood in that spot, and it would make perfect sense before jumping back into current times. So I hope that they use the time wisely to give us a bigger peek into Elphaba's childhood, because they're going to build up, as we've seen in the previews, they're going to build up that wonder, that hope for the future, for the wizard, and all of that is going to be established in this first part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yes. I'm really looking forward to, of course, starting from the beginning, seeing the Munchkin Land, which they, I can't believe how many millions was it that they planted of the tulips?
9 million.
9 million.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, this movie, I'm already impressed, and I haven't even seen it yet.
I don't think any film in history that should be a world record.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so leaning on to the next song that I would really love to have it being incorporated is No Time at All, is a song that Madame Morble sings to Elphaba. And I know that you know, Michelle Yeoh, she's not necessarily a singer, but I have seen her music video that she did in her youth. And I would love to see her do that song, No Time at All, because it's really a very descriptive song about Madame Morrible, and, you know, it hints that she is in love with the wizard, and the wizard just views her as a grandmother. And also how Elphaba, at the bequest of Madame Morrible, needs to enjoy life a little more. And so, you know, that would be a really cute bonding experience between Madame Morrible and Elphaba.
My prediction will be, because Michelle Yeoh was such a reluctant singer, that they're not going to add songs for her. I think, and I honestly, I'm not sure how many of the deleted songs they're going to bring back in. My prediction is that they're going to expand on the songs that we have, and that we're going to get a lot of elaborate dance sequences, because they have this ensemble of talented dancers and performers for this film. And, you know, the musical is so tight time-wise. That's, you know, we're going boom, boom, boom from one number to the next. In this film, because we have two, they have time to expand on those. And I really do feel that they're going to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tori. I think when we see, like, What Is This Feeling, it's going to be a lot like Grease Summer Lovin' almost, where you've got this huge ensemble, because in that film, it's just so colorful, and it's cutting between the two different characters with their two different perspectives. And we know in What Is This Feeling, not only do you have Glinda and Elphaba, sorry, singing, but you also have the ensemble with their counterpart. And so I think that it leaves a lot of room for spectacular choreography, and of course dancing through life between the Shiz Library, which we now know where it begins, and out into the Ozdust Ballroom, which is a very different kind of nightclub off campus. It's going to have, we're going to see costume changes and all this different time passing and different styles of choreography.
Oh yeah, and the choreography. I love the choreography on Broadway, and how it's described, how the actors described it, that if it feels like you're doing it right, you're doing it wrong, because the dancing and everything, it's supposed to be in a completely different world, you know, not like our own. And I'm being impressed and seeing what I saw on Broadway. I can't wait to see what and how they move on the screen, because you can get away with a lot more on the screen than you can on stage.
Yeah.
Which leads me, yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, for all that they've treated us with lots of teaser trailers and little video clips and looks, we still haven't seen major expansion or real elaboration and illustration of full choreography bits or song moments. We're just getting little kisses here and there.
Well, we did see some from What Is This Feeling. We know that is when they're, you know, doing their shoulder movements with Glinda standing in front of all of her friends. We see, you know, them sparring with each other. That's unclear whether that's from Popular or from What Is This Feeling. I get the feeling it's from What Is This Feeling, because they look a little contentious at that point. But also we have Glinda walking through the crowd, you know, in Munchkinland, that slow moving walk she was doing, looking very upset, from one of the behind the scenes featurettes. And, you know, they have so much room for storytelling. So my thought process is we're likely going to see less bringing in things that they, you know, took out during previews, and more of expanding the songs that people know and love.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be really interesting to see, you know, because this is made at a time when it's okay, Toto, vocalizing over there. Speaking of music, what will the deleted scenes be? Because I think that when we see these films come out to home video release, there's going to be great behind the scenes footage and documentary style and featurettes of making of this film. And will there be, even though it's expanded with time and storytelling and character development and choreography and the rest of it, I bet that they had choices they made to delete certain things. So what will those deleted scenes eventually be? And then sometimes we see, you know, like we've seen with other blockbusters, expanded versions of those eventually released. And so watching, like, you know, maybe there'll be someday, you know, years from now, where we can watch both films together all as one cut with everything else in it, and can just be this like great 10-hour movie.
I'm all in.
Me
Popcorn.
too.
Let's
Me
make
too.
it happen.
Yes, I will stay awake. You can put me in that machine from what is that movie?
Clockwork
Clockwork
Orange.
Orange.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
just keep me awake and I will watch it and I'll like it. I would volunteer for that. Chase, what's the third song that you wanted to talk about?
And the third song is "Which Way Is the Party," which I love. And so talking about "Which Way Is the Party," so the character of Fiyero, they in the book, he is not like his stage counterpart at all, and they borrowed a lot of the character from Averick, who is Margrave of Ten Meadows, and he's more of the party boy, and Fiyero is the more demure, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so Fiyero got a lot of his pizzazz and his spiciness from Averick, and originally the song, before it got converted to not Which Was the Party,
Dancing Through Life.
Dancing Through Life.
I think it was actually performed in San Francisco during the out of town tryout before they replaced it with Dancing Through Life.
It was, yes, and it's so it's such a fun song, and to have that included would be amazing. I guess it would be Fiyero having two songs, or maybe even Fiyero, while Glinda and Elphaba are away, Fiyero and the boys are hanging out, and they decide to go to a party. So maybe not the philosophy club, but something fun.
Yeah, exactly. The book in the philosophy club that is very NC-17, not PG. I like that. Yeah.
But one of the things that John Shu did remark on over the weekend in Entertainment Weekly was that the atmosphere of the Ozdust Ballroom is similar in flavor to the philosophy club, certainly not the NC-17 part of it, but the part where this is a place that wouldn't be sanctioned by the teachers for them to go. They're sneaking off campus to go here. So it's a little bit naughty, and Fiero's being a little bit of a bad influence, and he's roping them all in. And we do see them in one of these making of featurettes toasting, they're drinking, they're partying.
Yeah.
This is a lit atmosphere.
Speaking of the drinking, and I think John referred to it as the underbelly of Oz, which is a really unique way to kind of imply that Philosopher's Club. You were talking about Which Way Is the Party, and Tori, you're talking about toasting and drinking. There was a song in the Yellow Brick Road Not Taken that that predates Which Way Is the Party, even, for Fiero's Dancing Through Life song, and it is called Winky Wine, I believe. Wait, where is it? The source, Easy as Winky Wine.
Ooh, I want to get some Winky Wine released. Can we get?
And I really liked that song, Easy as Winky Wine. And that's Winky Wine and, Munchkin, the rest of it. There's also cafes referred to. There's scenes in the book Wicked where they actually go to a cafe and Fiyero gets coffee. And I think there's going to be opportunity for us to have lots of screen accurate, drinking games and parties at some point in the future. But I really like that Winky Wine song, Easy as Winky Wine song. And I wonder if they will, because Stephen Schwartz was so closely involved with Winnie Holzman in creating this adaptation, just like they did the adaptation from book to stage, from stage to screen, there's an opportunity, if not bringing some of these songs back, to in the dialogue, even have someone say, oh, that's Easy as Winky Wine. You know what I mean? Which would be like just an Easter egg for those of us who know that, or for Averick, to have the line just as dialogue during a breakout scene of Dancing Through Life to shout, which way is the party? You know what I mean? Like that will make just those of us who are the Wicked fans be like, oh my God, that's an Easter egg for those of us who, you know what I mean? So
that's more how I picture them incorporating things like this, because they were so committed to maintaining all of the music. I don't think they would give Fiyero two songs back to back like that, and I don't anticipate they'd use any of the screen time for the girls to give him that extra moment. So I think it'll be like that. I think there'll be neat little Easter eggs for us to pick up and to notice. This is the part I'm looking forward to most, and you'll have to come back and join us for the episode where we break down all the Easter eggs that we found.
Seriously. What my favorite song, Tori, are you familiar with the songs have you heard them?
Yes, I've heard. I have the anniversary editions that have some of these deleted songs, and they're available out there, you guys, if you want to go find them for yourselves. They're not hard to find.
Some of them are, yeah, they're not official releases. But like my favorite song that I remember from the Yellow Brick Road Not Taken, and I liked it so much, especially it was my favorite song that night, hearing each of these for the first time live, was a song called As If by Magic, which is a trio between Dr. Dillamond, Fierro, and Elphaba. And it not only brings depth to the relationship between, and the spark and chemistry between Elphaba and Fierro beyond that moment we see prior to I'm Not That Girl, but it also ties more emotionally to the political implications of the discovery that Dr. Dillamond is working on, the plight of the animals who speak in Oz, and also his relationship and significance in the lives of Shiz students, so that we know that there's expansion also, or at least depth to the impact of what happens to Dr. Dillamond's character in the film. Like, I don't think they're bringing back the funeral scene that we saw in the Out of Town tryout during San Francisco. They even had a funeral scene in the musical, which was cut. I don't think we're going to see that, but I think we're going to see expanded Dr. Dillamond. I would love to see a bit of As If by Magic in there. If we aren't getting any songs brought back from cut songs, hopefully there will be some of that chemistry and character building as well.
I definitely think there's a chance of expanding that, because from that international trailer, we did see clips of Dr. Dillamond showing Elphaba a chart with animals who have gone missing, and he's clearly trying to crack the case of what's going on here. So there may be some of that brought back in. But again, I don't anticipate they'll bring the songs themselves back.
Right.
Although I would love to hear Peter Dinklage sing more. He's got a beautiful voice. But they are going to definitely, in my opinion, expand his role in the student's life. We will, and we're going to see them bond through dialogue, I think, more than song.
Yeah.
Because they just don't have time in a Broadway musical where you're like up, up, up. That energy's got to stay elevated, and they can't bog it down with too much dialogue between, showstoppers. So, but here in a film where the pace can be a little bit slower, I think we're going to see more of those relationships develop in dialogue.
It's true. And you mentioned that international trailer, and there was that one shot of Dr. Dillamond being pulled away by the horns, which is so, not, I want to say dehumanizing, which it is, but it's de-animalizing. Oh,
see, Toto also protests.
Yes. Yes, here, Toto, here's some treats for you. That was, see how trained she is to participate in Oz Talk. But the, just that notion of animal cruelty, which is implied and certainly happens on stage, seeing it and the emotions, there are those of us who are so desensitized to seeing, we see humans die all the time in horror films and in other movies and fighting, and we watch it like nothing. But if God forbid, Oz forbid, there's a dog or a cat or anyone that is hurt on screen in any movie, we're all like covering our eyes and we're so upset. So I think that Wicked, the film, is going to brilliantly push that button for audiences where we are all going to feel this is not right, whether or not you were an Ozian who wanted animals to be able to speak or not, is not, at that point, isn't the case. It's about, you do not assault and drag someone like that, and so it's very effective. And at one point I was wondering if that character that we saw come in with the lion cub might be the mysterious Miss Coddle we now know from international trailers and stuff. That's not the case. So there's still the question of, and I want to ask you guys before I go, who do you think Miss Coddle is going to be, and what is that all about?
Well, for me, my theory is that she is going to be a callback to the book. In the book, there's a character called Alma Clutch, and she's kind of like the custodian / guardian of Glinda, and pretty much like each girl needs to have a custodian / person to correlate like parties, and like it's really like a very antiquated system. Like everyone has a guardian pretty much, like if you're a chaperone. There we go. And so I'm thinking that she might be this kind of chaperone character. I know that in the books there is the pink dormitory for the girls that don't have a chaperone, and so maybe she herself is a chaperone over girls who need a little guidance, I suppose. So.
That was kind of along the lines of what I thought as well. But I do think she's employed by Shiz University. I don't think she arrives with Elphaba and Nessarose per se. The little she has talked about the role, she's said that she's a Shiz University faculty member, and that's as much as she'll say. So the question really isn't who is she, but what side is she on?
Right, that's true. I mean, so let me show this, because when else is there a chance for me to show this? But you guys know I'm a member of the Critics' Choice Association, which puts on the Critics' Choice Awards. Tori and I are looking forward to going this January. Hopefully, we're going to be supporting Wicked in every category. That's the goal. But a couple of years ago, in 2018, I was there with Aaron Harburg, and we were very graciously seated at the table for The Greatest Showman with Pasek and Paul, who wrote those great songs. And Shoshana Bean happened to be there as the guest of Keala Settle, who played the bearded lady in The Greatest Showman. And so I asked them for a picture. Shoshana, not knowing she was going to be there, and I remember her first performance going on as Elphaba, and so I'm a huge fan of hers, huge fan of Keala's, primarily from The Greatest Showman. But now knowing that she's Miss Cottle, this is, a moment that I continue to be grateful for and pinch myself about. Of course, this is before we knew that Wicked was moving forward as a film. With what she has said, Tori, as you pointed out, her being more about, as implied as like another headmistress or employed by Shiz, the question becomes, is she voice only? Is she going to be an animal, a CGI character like Dr. Dillamond? Is she going to be on that side? Is it going to be someone else that is she good or bad? Or are we going to see her as a human Ozian? And so
I'm pretty certain we're going to see her as a human Ozian, and that we've actually seen her in the background of the trailer. She is when Elphaba magics Nessarose's wheelchair and she lifts up into the air. I believe you can see Keala Settle standing under her and looking aghast at what is happening. So I think we're definitely going to see her in human form. It's just now a matter of.
Are you sure? Is this just speculation, or do you?
My speculation.
Okay,
My speculation.
Okay, we're all. I'm like hanging up on you both right now to go look at that. I'm like, can't wait to see it.
That's speculation, innuendo,
innuendo. Very good.
Rumors.
Yeah. No, that will be very cool. I also think, though, but speaking of, new songs or bringing back new songs in part 2, possibly using songs from that have been cut but previously written for Wicked material, since there aren't new songs in part 1. How do you have Keala Settle, one of the greatest Broadway and film voices in entertainment history, and not give her something to sing? So will she take over? Maybe you don't have. What was the song you mentioned from Morrible? You wanted Morrible to sing, Chase?
Oh, the song No Time at All.
No Time at All. Maybe Keala gets some of that. You know what I mean? That would be fantastic, because it's like, what was it? It was the movie Enchanted, where you had Idina Menzel and she didn't sing. It's like, how do you do that?
Well, she did, but her song was cut. So, it happens.
You're right. True. It does happen. That song was cut, and you can find that online. And they certainly made up for it in Disenchanted. But that's an episode for someone else's online talk show, not for Oz Talk. But yeah, I'm very excited. And it's kind of fun, for all that we have wanted to see what Dr. Dillamond would look like, wanted to make sure James Corden wasn't going to play him, and we got the great Peter Dinklage. We still have this mystery around Miss Cottle, and so that's very exciting. It's exciting to have that, because once it's revealed, and we know. I'm all about the surprises. Tori wants all the spoilers now, don't you?
It doesn't spoil it for me, really, because I'm very emotional when I watch a movie about Oz. So there's no way to spoil that emotional reaction, even if I've seen every minute of it, and there are people who are like, okay, I've seen the trailers. That's enough. I don't want any more behind the scenes featurettes. I don't want any more articles. So if I'm talking about something that could spoil, or that, I'm telling people up front, like, you might not want to watch this. Our friends, Tara and MK from Down the Yellow Brick Pod, for example, have said, like, I've seen enough. I want to wait now. Otherwise, it'll be ruined for me. Not me. I want to eat it all.
Yeah. But seeing and eating it all, do you also want, like, you would take the spoilers in terms of, it wouldn't, you said it wouldn't spoil, but would you know, like, what changes are made? Like what story changes are, like, you'd want to know all that even before seeing it? Or you would be open to knowing that before seeing it?
You know, I'm open, but I don't think Universal is going to be very upfront with much more of that. And I'm ignoring leaks, like people who are leaking, who have been to previews. I'm ignoring that stuff because I don't want to know every nook and cranny. But like, I have my own theories, and I'm excited to see what's right and what's wrong.
Mm-hmm. This is great. Ryan Gutierrez saying that Miss Coddle may get a little line in Dear Old Shiz and gets cut off by Galinda. That's fair.
So funny.
Yeah, that would be so funny. Yes, so true. Wait, someone's asking, Joey, Ryan, was your black t-shirt custom? I don't know if he's talking about the t-shirt that I wore at Land of Oz. That was from Redbubble, the Pride one that I wore when I was with Tori at Land of Oz. But yeah, I think that's an interesting thing too, right? So if you're not bringing back any of these cut songs or previously written songs, the songs that exist, you can certainly give lines to different performers to sing. You know, like Shen Shen and Fanny might have some singing bits in, you know, Dancing Through Life or in Dear Old Shiz or at another point, you know. So that's a really, really interesting point that Ryan brings up there.
And I do think they will use this cast to their advantage. You know, they have hired the best of the best for this film. They've cast this film so well. There's not a dud in this bunch. So whatever way they decide to arrange the music, whoever gets to sing what, it's going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And I know you guys are familiar. Chase, do you have this also, the Grimmery?
Yes. I am on my third copy because I let people borrow it and I never see it again. And then I just buy another one because I love it so much. I'm not going to get mad. Like, I spread the wicked love. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love this book, and it's a making of behind the scenes of the musical, and it's great because there also includes some information too of the transformation from in the adaptation there. I'm sure we're going to be getting hopefully it's coming soon. You know, near the release of the film, making of the film book or the art of Wicked, the movie book, in addition to, because there's going to be a lot to digest and learn about there.
For sure. I would love a coffee table book like that, a la the way they did that for Oz the Great and Powerful even. Because one of the only good things about it was how pretty it was. It was so pretty.
Yes. What do you guys think in terms of story? Let's see, we've covered Baby Elphaba, Bach and Nessarose, some of Fiyero and Averick. We talked about Miss Coddle, Dr. Dillamond. Is there... Let's see. I think just with Galinda, we're going to get a lot more humor in new ways. The way that when Kristen originated the role, it was so funny, and then other actresses have been able to take over and continue the Glinda arc on stage, and is proof to how strongly it's written, but also to how strongly Kristen crafted who Glinda is as a character. The opportunity for both Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba and Ariana Grande as Glinda to make these roles their own with new dialogue and to give us new moments, like Cynthia already giving us Goes Well with Green, you know, totally new, totally iconic, already part of the vernacular, you know what I mean? And the same with Glinda in the 30-second trailer teaser that we saw, where just her delivery of "It's good to see me," isn't it so different than how we've heard it before, and yet living and breathing on its own. It's just amazing. I mean, I'm already just so impressed and inspired and in awe of Ariana's performance as Glinda too.
They also teased a bit more about her arc in terms of her desire, her burning wish to be a sorceress in one of the more recent teasers, like one of the 30-second spots. And that's something that is an expansion of something from the musical. You know, they discuss it briefly. She gets her training one. She's very excited, but she doesn't talk about it in terms of something she's always hungered for. And I think what that is going to serve is conflict for her and Elphaba, because Elphaba is just naturally gifted and Glinda is not. She is somebody who has to work a lot harder to achieve in this realm. And she's not used to that because she's the pretty popular girl and everything always works out for her. And I think this is the first time she's ever come up against not being naturally good at something. And here comes Elphaba, this green person, and she just knows it. She's just got it. She's got that quality that can't be bought. So I think that's going to be a source of a lot of conflict and tension.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I would love to say or add to that is in the musical, we don't actually see Glinda do any magic. We see her come in and go by bubble, which Elphaba says, and whose invention was that? The wizard's. And so I would love to actually see Glinda do actual magic, like something outside of herself, because like like whenever I watched Wicked for the first time, I was like, does Glinda actually know how to do magic like at all? And it's just something that I really want to see. So.
Yeah, it is to be noted that in L. Frank Baum's original, the canon of Wicked, how Glinda is the most powerful sorceress there was and never will be in Oz. It's interesting to see how Gregory Maguire reframed Galinda and Glinda and the stage version as well. And I think that we're going to see her, especially in the Maguire novel. She does come into having power and use magic, and so but this being a prequel, this coming in at a point so brilliantly as Maguire crafted it as before anything Baum imagined, allows for that space of, like Tori said, Elphaba being born with it, and Glinda having to earn it and work for it and study for it. But it does make it that much more meaningful than when she does, when Elphaba makes that happen for her, that she's accepted into, getting a training wand and the rest of it.
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's misery.
Oh my God, that's genius! You need to. There's a new. You have to do a video for your TikTok onto just that moment, Tori, please, for me. Yeah, it's great, and let's see. Otherwise, expansion from the book. I'm thinking like other animals. We know we're going to see an animal band. In Architectural Digest talked about the animal band in the Ozdust Ballroom, so we are going to see animals in more expanding roles and more prominence than we could have seen on stage, and that whole subplot of what the wizard and Morrible are working on. Will there be like Chase, you were mentioning about how the previous version of Wicked implied that Morrible had a crush almost on the wizard. There might be a subplot there between Morrible and the wizard, and kind of this like unrequitedness that Morrible's feeling, because we know that Morrible's going to be more wicked, but will that soften her a bit to see that she has this unrequited crush on the wizard?
And that's what I would love to see expanded upon, is Madame Morrible and her relationship to the wizard, because in the musical, she goes from, talking about the wizard, in one scene, and then towards the end of Act 1, you realize that she's the press secretary, and will they go that route? Will she become a different, person altogether? Will they make her less the wicked one or more kinder, or will they flip the script and leave us all surprised? I mean, like, the thing is, she is the catalyst for a very big event in the second act or second movie, but I would love to see that expanded upon, especially because in the song that was cut from Wicked, that Madame Morrible sings, no time at all, as a woman in charge, she probably has a lot of plate spinning and doesn't have a lot of time at all. And the one person that does pay attention to her, the wizard, and
right,
compare the time of day. So
I'm wondering what you guys think. Or Tori, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think her role is, and my reading of Morrible is always that she always had an in with the wizard. I don't think she went from suddenly being a nobody to being his press secretary. I think she was kind of the kingmaker, the woman behind the man behind the curtain. And I think her goal is just more and more power. How much more power can I secure for myself, for the school, and I think she leans into his bigotry against animals because, I think she just likes being the having that central power, and the less people can take from her, the better. She wants to be the person in control. So she's bringing the wizard this powerful witch that they can manipulate, that they can use to their advantage. And I really think that's her ultimate motivation. Mm-hmm. But it'll be interesting to see how they expand, because Michelle Yeoh is one of the most talented humans alive. Yeah. So I cannot wait. And to see her and Jeff Goldblum play off of each other, it's just going to be.
That is such a dream team. I mean, I wouldn't mind them having a rendezvous.
No.
I'm here for that spin-off.
I mean, I get it. He
Yeah.
is. Woo!
I know. How is he? He is like not aging. He and who's the other star? It's um from Ozark, Jason Bateman. Like Jeff Goldblum and Jason Bateman are the Benjamin Buttons of Hollywood. They are not. They have stopped aging. I need to find out what estheticians they go to and doctors and the rest of
I
it.
mean, quite frankly, Michelle Yeoh as well.
Same, yes.
These performers just get better and better with age. So
Yeah,
I'm loving that they're having this grand musical moment in their careers because they're so deserving, and
so
they're gonna knock it out of the park. My ultimate prediction is that Wicked is going to be $1 billion hit.
Absolutely.
That's my ultimate prediction.
Same, done and done, worldwide, multi-international smash. It has to be. Nathaniel's saying he wants to know more about the Lion Cub. That would serve the story well. And then we had Moeli and William also mentioning Grammatic, which that would be interesting. These would be pulls from the book that could really expand because Grammatic is a big part of,
Yeah.
But if you go ahead, Chase.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, as far as like cut characters from the book goes, I would love to see Grammatic in this.
But the reason why I think Grammatic doesn't work in Wicked the musical on stage and wouldn't work in the film is because Grammatic in the book serves as a spy, and that would, if that's the case, and they have access to TikTok creatures like that, it would eliminate the need for the wizard to manipulate Elphaba into creating scouts among the winged monkeys. If that was,
I think if anything, if we're going to see tech like that, I think it's going to be in the background. I think it's just going to be stuff that, the characters take for granted that they are there. It's just part of the landscape. Or, John Shu has talked about how the wizard is kind of a recluse, kind of a collector, kind of an inventor. So, there's a chance he's building things like that in his lair. Mm-hmm. But I don't anticipate we're going to get those characters brought back in. The time it would require to introduce those characters, explain them, because the fans of the musical and fans of the 1939 film will have no understanding of that. So it would require time to educate the audience, time I don't think they'll use in that way.
Yeah.
I think they're making these films assuming that all people have as a reference are the 1939 film.
Right.
Because even a large population of people who aren't familiar with the musical, let alone the book, or Baum's books. So I think those things that they're bringing in from Baum and McGuire are going to be more background and more Easter eggs for diehard fans, but I don't think they're going to take up plot time for it.
Yeah, I think the wizard is going to be more of an engineer than a carnival person. So, that maybe in Nebraska, he was someone who, or Kansas, if they make it, someone who really was part of, a scientific club because he gets to Oz and tinkers with all of the clockwork and the building of things like a Grammatic possibly, or sets and models. And we see his whole, Beetlejuice table of different kinds of Oz, the land of Oz, but also the train and the building the road, the yellow brick road. So he might be much more of that kind of character. But I wanted to ask you, since Tori, you just said that the frame of reference going back to the 1939 film, it would make sense. One of the most delightful, accessible moments on stage, which was not from the book, are the moments like lemons and melons and what's in the punch, lemons and melons and pears, oh my. Do we think there are going to be others in the film version that were not in the stage version? There could be the feeling we're not in Kansas. There could be some kind of, I have a feeling, Galinda could say, I got a feeling I'm not in, the uplands anymore, or just something like, do we think there are going to be more callbacks to 1939 in the film?
Yeah, again, I think those things will be visual and background rather than overt. I think they will have those little lines that, make the audience squeal with delight like they do when you hear them on stage. The audience always goes crazy when they hear lemons and melons and pears, oh my, the audience, and there's no place like home. I do think they'll keep those things. But, again, they're dancing carefully they're dancing through life and around copyright infringement laws. So they got to be really cautious about how much they borrow, because this is an original take. So
right.
I think there will be hints. I don't think they'll be as overt as maybe you and I would like them to be, because I would love that. But I think they'll be neatly and carefully baked in. and they're gonna skirt around those pesky copyright laws.
I guess, and a little goes a long way. We don't really need much more than if they can keep in lemons and melons and pears. Oh my, that's kind of enough. Chase, what do you think?
Well, just from the audio and the things that I've been searching online, like I love hearing like the first 7 notes from Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Like you hear it in Wicked, but in the musical, the audio is a little bit more on the nose for it. And I've noticed, and I really, really love it because those first few notes take you exactly where you need to be, and then it's different. It kind of like sinks you in, if you will.
And we know we're getting the Miss Gulch theme. And
Yeah.
I think those are the types of things that are so subtle it could be missed. I think you and I are going to be, we're all going to be leaning in and listening. And I think diehard fans will catch them, but I don't think they're going to be in your face like, hey, remember that time?
And then as we talk about it, everybody's going to have to go back and see it again and kind of catch it for themselves then. So I think that's part of what's going to make this a $1 billion franchise in the making, is the multiple viewings we're all going to want to have. Also knowing that it's coming out in IMAX, it's coming out in Real D 3D, it's going to be in standard, cinematic display. So getting to see it in all those different capacities, because, eventually it will be available to stream, but we won't again get to have the opportunity to see it in 3D or in IMAX. So we've got to, grab those opportunities while we can upon its initial release.
And also, just for reference, I don't know if you all know this, but Wicked, at one point, Wicked the Musical, the sun never set on Wicked the Musical because all around the world there was many different productions, and so Spanish is my first language, and I recently found out that Cici de la Cueva and Dana Paola, who played Glinda and Elphaba respectively, are doing the singing and audio for Wicked in Spanish. I'm going to be listening to Wicked in Spanish. There's apps that you can download that you can sync with the movie that you're watching.
Oh, wow.
And you can listen to it in multiple different languages. So I'm going to go see Wicked in English, and then I'm going to go watch it a bunch of other times in the languages I understand. So.
Yes, very, very cool. Well, I think this has been so much fun, and it's really, really amazing that we got to kind of dissect all of this. Tori, there's something that you and I received in the mail. I don't have mine with me right now, but do you want to reveal it? Yes, for those of us.
I'm so excited to announce that I've been accepted to Shiz University.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Or congratulations, depending on who you ask. So I will be unboxing this today on my TikTok, so keep an eye out for that. I'm so excited to share this. And I know if you've applied through the Shiz University website, you will be receiving something in the mail. I don't know if it will be the same something that I received, but you'll definitely receive something. And those are going to start rolling out soon. So keep your eyes look to the western sky for that.
And I will be unboxing mine. Possibly, I may have to wait till Friday when I'm on television. I don't know, but it's going to be hard for me to do, knowing that some of my friends have been already going through it and everything. But this has been so much fun. And Chase, thank you so much for joining us. You'll have to come back. This has been really, really great. And I'm going to say thank you so much to everyone watching. Please follow us. You see our socials here. Tori's at the Ozlog. Mr. Chase is at oz.after.oz. I'm at Ryan J Reviews. Like and share. This really helps us be able to continue to bring you great content like Oz Talk and other things. And we're so appreciative of that and of your attention today and moving forward. So without further ado, to Oz.
To Oz.
To Oz.